Okay, in this video I'm going to go over a build I've come up with since the patch, and it focuses on bleeding. I decided to just call it the Titchy Grin build. There he is, right there. He approves. What I did is I tried to maximize damage and bleeding. Most people don't know how to deal with bleeding, and you'll see in the video, most of the people, once they start bleeding, they'll do like, I don't know, I call it the bleed walk, I guess. They just like don't know what to do, so they just kind of backpedal. And if you have bleed pumped up high enough and you're pretty much reapplying it with just a couple of hits or a few hits, it's different than poison where they just pop a moss or something like that, or it ticks down but they can still function normally. This throws their game off because it changes their statistics for a few moments. Okay, my main hand weapon I use for this build is the Chariot Lance. In my offhand I have a Flamberge plus 10 with bleed added onto it. It's a natural bleed weapon, and then I infuse it even further. I just have the Sacred Chime to do my two spells, Great Magic Barrier and Sacred Oath. I still use an Avalon every now and then if somebody's low, and especially with this bleed thing, when they're doing the bleed walk, I need to I have to do something because they pretty much just backpedal and keep rolling away until bleed's gone. That's how I've noticed a lot of people handle it, and you'll see that in the fights. So I need to come up with something better, but for now that's what I'm doing. I have the Stamina Regen Ring on, Ring of Blades plus 2, which is nice because, especially with the Chariot Lance, you cannot infuse it or buff it or anything, but you do get, so that means you get the full 50 from Ring of Blades. I use the Stone Ring for additional poise damage, trying to get people to stagger as much as you can. The more hits you can get in, the quicker they bleed. And for my last ring, I have the Crest of Blood on. It's just the Brotherhood of Blood ring. The value on that is it's plus 60 to bleed damage. So, okay, I have Germ Warrior Great Helm plus 10. It is the best physical defense helm. Everybody wears the butt face helm, but this one's better. Wearing the Jester's robes, I hate it, but there's just way too many people that are trying to do rolling R1s over and over, and sometimes they catch you, especially when there's a little bit of lag, and it was just affecting me to the point where I wanted to just nullify that. So I have Havel's leggings. I try not to wear Havels, but on the legs, I was pretty much forced to. I have Shadow Gauntlets plus 10, but Shadow Gauntlets add another 60 to your bleed damage, and it does not tell you in the tooltip. And if you look at the Shadow Gauntlets up close, I turn my camera there a little bit, you can see they have like a big hook sticking out the end of them. Okay, and on the other hand, just you can see, yep, there's a blade sticking out the other end of that one too. Between the gloves and the Crest of Blood, that's another 120 bonus that I have to go with the rest of the build. And you can see with all this stuff, I have over 800 on all my physical defenses, over 300 in all my elementals. 317 is the weakest, the magic. Okay, and here's my little stat sheet. You can see all my stats there on the left. The one that's obnoxious is the strength, but that's the one that gives me the most bang for the buck, so that's why it's that high. Okay, there's one difference that I have depending on the opponent. If I have enough time to switch, or if it's somebody I know and I know what they're going to do, and that is I switched the Flamberge out for a mace. If and the rule of thumb is for this build, or pretty much for me at least, is if they're carrying a shield medium or heavier, or if they're wearing, a ton of armor, ditch the Flamberge because it's just not going to do anything. And blunt weapons do really well against shields and against heavy armor. That's what heavy armor is weakest to. Or a lot of armor is, but that's one of the weaker points. And you've got to go for it against those super heavy tank people. And, there's some examples of me using each weapon in my offhand in the build. But what I do is the Dark Barbed Club. I also like to add in a little post-match garbage, original stuff, in case it's somebody that has taunted me before, or if they played really annoyingly. So what I did is I've been developing a teabag, and I gave it a shot, and it's on the, I'll save it, I'll put it for the last match at the end. I also put in a pair of matches back to back versus the same guy. In the first one, I was using a Flamberge, and he was 2 tons of Havel, and I wasn't able to do it. I wasn't able to get it done with the Flamberge. I got him again right after I switched to the club, and you'll see what a difference that makes when you face either a great shield or somebody wearing a ton of Havels or real heavy armor. Alright, so tell me what you think, and I'll see you guys soon. If you have any questions, comments, or whatever, let me know what you think. Just put it right down below.